Okay, so Nisha, who's your favourite side character from the Marvel movies?
It's got to be Phil Coulson.
Is it? Oh wow, it's a good job we're talking about him today then, isn't it? Agent Phil Coulson is a character described as the gooey human centre of the cinematic monolith that is the MCU. An everyman character who serves as an important anchor for the universe in the first few movies in the series, the actor who plays Coulson was initially hesitant to even play him because he didn't even have a name.
So, the actor who plays Phil Coulson is Clark motherfucking Gregg.
It is, yes. Like Clark, big dick legend Gregg, who I only know from the MCU, and I don't give a shit. The guy's an ace. I don't care if that was the only role he was ever in, if it was just like that first Iron Man movie. He is phenomenal in the role. I love him. I adore everything about the character and the way Gregg portrays him, especially just the way he delivers lines. Because he's just so understated in his delivery on everything. And he serves really well in the role of like offering the human perspective on these fantastical events that happen in the first few movies.
Yeah.
Like when he's just talking to Iron Man, and like you got Robert Downey Jr. just being himself, I suppose, as he's like waltzing around in like the big dumb Iron Man suit, and you just got Clark Gregg there like,
Listen, I know this must be a trying time for you, but we need to debrief you. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, and time can be a factor with these things.
He's so relatable, and he's like, I just want to talk to him. He's literally the guy in a fucking suit. He's like, oh, come on, man. I get it, Tony. You like flying around in your hyper-powered rocket suit, but you've got to talk to me.
I like when when Tony's talking to Pepper, and he's like, Phil, I thought his first name is Agent.
Yeah, and we can get into that in a moment, but what is your favourite Agent Coulson moment?
I really like it. I find it really cute in the Avengers when we find out he's a really big Captain America fan and he collects all the cards and he wants him to sign the cards.
It's a vintage set. Took me a couple of years to collect them all. Near mint. Slight foxing around the edges, but we got a hit.
And even when, spoilers, he survives getting murked by Loki, they never tell anybody that he's alive. And it's just really disappointing that Captain America never finds out that Coulson was alive. Like, the linchpin for the Avengers even being a thing never even gets thanked for what he did, and it's really disappointing. But moving swiftly, I think my favourite line is when Loki stood there, and he just pans up, and it's just Clark Gregg with a big gun.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this is a gun. I don't even know what it does. he's just stood there, he's picked it up. He's like, yeah, I don't know what it does. I'm pretty sure it could kill you, though. Literal god threatening all of humanity.
You like this? Even I don't know what it does. You want to find out?
I've not seen the TV series yet.
No, it's not great.
But is it not?
It's not, no. And the reason I don't like the show is like weirdly petty, and it's because the main girl in it was dating one of the Paul brothers.
Okay.
Like, it's either Jake Paul or Logan Paul. It's like, and then they defended him after all that bullshit. And I went, you know what? Fuck your TV show. I don't want to. I love Clark Gregg, but I hate him more. I would be much prefer if you weren't in the TV show and he's just Clark Gregg, like trotting the globe and fighting superheroes with a big laser gun. Unfortunately, the world's not that great, so we don't get that TV show. Instead, we got his like 4 appearances in a movie.
So yeah, like Agent Coulson is, I think, one of the most popular minor characters in the franchise.
He is. Like, so popular, they bring him back in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's, they know. Like, so we can't put Gregg in a new movie, but we can put him in an older movie. Just fucking digitally de-age him and let him hang out with Sam Jackson for a couple of days. It'd be awesome.
But you mentioned previously that he originally didn't want to play the role.
No, like Clark Gregg did not want to play Agent Coulson because according to him, when he first got the script, he was told that the character he was going to play was going to be in 3 movies, which sounds like a great deal for an actor, but he balked at that idea because when he looked at the script, 1, his character didn't have a name, and 2, he had, to quote him, like 2 lines in the entire thing, and he was hesitant to believe that such a minor character would get a starring role in 2 sequels. He's like, this character has 2 fucking lines and no name. Why would I sign on to being it? They're going to cut my role out.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly understandable worry, isn't it, for an actor? It's like, if you're going to cut anybody out, it's going to be the literal no-name character who has barely any lines that are relevant to the plot. And people out there might be wondering, is one of the other reasons Gregg didn't want to appear in the movie because it's a comic book movie, and prior to the MCU, comic book movies weren't really a thing? It's like, no, because one of the reasons Gregg didn't want to be in the movie is paradoxically because he loves comic books, and specifically Iron Man the character. And he was later quoted as saying, I genuinely debated turning down the role, not because I don't love comic books, but because I love them so much. I would be crushed if I told my family I was going to be in the new Iron Man movie, and then we went to go watch it and I'm just not in it. And again, that's a very understandable worry. It's like that moment in Friends, isn't it, where Joey's in a TV show, and his grandma comes around to watch it and goes, Joey, when do you appear on screen? He goes, yeah, you see that character under the sheet? Yeah, that's me.
Maybe your scene's coming up.
Not likely, because you see that body bag right there? Yeah, I'm in it.
So bringing it back to Clark Gregg, you mentioned in the original script he didn't have a name?
No, and according to Gregg, he was initially just listed as Agent in the first script that he got sent by Marvel. And I think there might even be a joke, like you mentioned, that Tony Stark makes a joke about that. And I'm not sure if that's a knowing nod to that earlier version of the script, but according to Gregg, the director of Iron Man 1, Jon Favreau, did him a solid and beefed up his role in that film and added some of the comedic flair to the character. That has now become a staple of films in the MCU, and he credits Jon Favreau with basically allowing him to keep being in those movies and the universe as a whole, because if it wasn't for the additions Favreau made to the script and the character, it's likely that he may have been written out in the sequels.
Right.
But, oh man, I love Jon Favreau, because he's in the film, he's Happy Hogan, I love that.
Every time I see him there in them films, I just think of him as Pete from Friends, who wants to be the ultimate fighting champion. I feel like he wants to be that because obviously he's surrounded by superheroes and stuff. I think.
Oh man. Are we in the Friends cinematic universe, like crosses over the MCU? Don't forget, Jon Favreau's character Happy Hogan is Tony Stark's bodyguard.
Yeah.
So he may have become the, like, who knows if Tony Stark may have seen him on the Ultimate Fighting Championship and just hired him to do that. I still love that line though, where you got Happy Hogan and he's having an argument with Tony Stark. He just says, why did you quit Happy? He goes, have you any idea how embarrassing it is telling people you're Iron Man's bodyguard?
Yeah, because Iron Man does not need one.
No one's going to hire. That is like the fakest looking resume item ever, isn't it? Well, I worked for 10 years as a bodyguard. Who for Iron Man? You mean the guy in the indestructible robot suit who's mates with the Hulk? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And you, and he looks down at like Jon Favreau's, like, you know, his man gut and up to his face and goes, and you protected Iron Man. Yeah. Okay then.
So yeah, despite everything, he did end up appearing in all the Iron Mans and Thor and Avengers.
Yeah, like it's safe to say Clark Gregg appeared in those additional 2 movies and then some, because not only did he appear in like more movies in the MCU and led Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, he's also lent his voice and likeness to video games and a short-lived Spider-Man TV show in which he plays Agent Coulson posing as Spider-Man's headmaster.
Fury wants you where he can keep his eye on you.
Coulson?
Acting Principal Coulson. Thwip, thwip.
But I think the most unique honour he got is something that even Robert Downey Jr. hasn't, and that's that he's now in the comic books.
Yeah.
Because unlike Iron Man and Thor and Spider-Man and all those other characters, Agent Coulson isn't a character from the comic books. He exists only in the movies. But the overwhelmingly positive response to Gregg's performance as Agent Coulson resulted in Marvel putting that character into the comic books. And the character looks like Clark Gregg. It's like, Robert Downey Jr. doesn't get that on because obviously Iron Man has been in the comic for years. So Clark Gregg gets to look at the comic and go, that character is fucking me. That's me.
Yeah.
No one else gets to do that. And that's awesome. All for a role that he was going to turn down. Okay, so Nisha, since in a roundabout way it's been the topic of today's video, just favourite, like, you know, side or minor characters from the MCU?
I really like Korg from Ragnarok. Just because, like, it's just, I think one of the things I love is just his voice doesn't really match what he looks like. Like, when you see the character, you think, oh, he's quite big and bulky and beefy. You think he'd have like a deep voice.
Yeah, and then it's
the fact
just
he's
this.
just like, I'm Korg.
It's just this New Zealand accent comes out. I mean, that's the director of Thor Ragnarok voices him, Taika Waititi. He said he fucking loves it.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
He said, I'll voice it myself. Who gives a shit?
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Korg. I'm kind of like the leader in here. I'm made of rocks, as you can see, but don't let that intimidate you.
Well, I think one of the side characters that I like the most is the Winter Soldier, and it's purely for one moment that I have mentioned multiple times on the channel. I'm going to mention now, and will no doubt mention again in the future, and it's that one single moment where Captain America is just macking on Peggy Carter's niece or a granddaughter or some shit, and he turns around and he sees the Winter Soldier and the Falcon just looking at him going, yeah. And it cracks me up every single fucking time. Like, he turns around and just sees his old best friend and his new best friend is like, yeah. It's just the really subtle closing of the eyes and the really just shallow nods of it's like, yeah, you get some, Captain America.
That reminds me of another character I like, just from one line, is Yondu in the second Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's floating down with an umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
And Star-Lord's like, oh, you like Mary Poppins? And he's like, something like, oh, is he a superhero? Or something like that. And he's like,
yeah, is he a badass?
He is. Yeah, is he a badass?
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Poppins, y'all.
So good.
Hell yeah, he's cool.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
In a similar vein, I really like Ulysses Claw, I think it is. I forget the character's full name. It's the guy played by Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Purely because you can tell that Andy Serkis was just hamming it the fuck up in every scene he's in. He walks into frame and immediately begins gnawing on whatever scenery is present. He's fucking great. He stole every scene he's in Black Panther, and I'm so pissed off that he died. When he just gets shot on set, it's like, no, he was the best character in the film. That line where they're jumping into the cars, he goes, oh, don't be boring, pour some music, and he puts fucking thumping techno on while he's being chased by a future Jaguar man. It's fucking awesome.
Put some music on. What do you think this is, a funeral?
If it wasn't for his decision to play some music, that scene would have been way more boring. He's like, nah, man, do you know what this chase scene is? What, thumping techno? That he is insinuated to have composed himself, because he talks earlier in the film about a mixtape he's got on SoundCloud.
Oh god.
So let's imagine that's his own remix that he made for his own chase scenes. What a badass.
Oh, it just makes me think, because if I go visit my mum, it's usually about an hour's drive.
Why do you put that
can't go on a car journey without music, and I'm just imagining now putting in Nisha's Megamix.
And just that song starts playing, and you look in your wing mirror and you just see a man in a Panther costume running at 40 miles an hour behind you, exploding cars with purple sex energy. And it's like, yeah, that's the world that Ulysses Claw lives in, because he makes it that world. And he owns it.